ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ Namaste, all of you. Welcome back to our continuing study of Shrimad Bhagawad Geetha from the pages of Poojya Swamiji's, Poojya Swami Dayananda Saraswati's Gita home study course. In these sessions, we are studying chapter 16 of Shrimad Bhagawad Geetha titled Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yogaha. In this chapter, Lord Krishna is teaching us qualities that we must scrupulously and honestly cultivate to develop a satviki antahkaranam, which he calls the values he calls daivi sampat, and those qualities that need to be consciously and diligently eschewed from our personality. These qualities, these tendencies, Lord Krishna calls asuri sampat, unbecoming human tendencies. Daivi sampat are the ones that should be desired for, which are becoming of a human being. Lord Krishna begins enumerating the Daivi Sampats in the first three shlokas of this chapter, beginning from Abhayam. He enumerates 26 Daivi Sampats in these three shlokas, after which he will very elaborately talk about the Asuri Sampats, which we need to note carefully and apply ourselves to weeding them out in case we find them lingering in our personalities. We have begun our study with the quality of abhayam, fearlessness, and we then went on to sattva samshuddhi. Sattva samshuddhi means purity of mind, antahkarana shuddhi. Puja Swamiji says, if all the qualities, if all the values are properly understood, there will certainly be antahkarana shuddhi. So sattva samshuddhi translates into antahkarana shuddhi. It is mentioned separately as a value, though, in this context, in the context of the 16th chapter. It means clean thinking, antakarana shuddhi, which is expressed very beautifully by Shankara as giving up of deceit, cheating, and falsehood in our interactions with people. If one is free from these in his or her thinking, there is naturally certain cleanliness in our interactions. You have sattva samshuddhi. Then we began our study of this important value, the third value, which is called Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi. Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi. Shankaracharya makes a very important observation, makes an important note here. He says, this Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi is the most important one among all the others that constitute Daivi Sampat. It is the most significant Daivi Sampat. Why? This is beautifully explained, stated by Shankara in his magnum opus work Viveka Chudamani. In verse 53 of Viveka Chudamani, Shankaracharya says, Pathyamaushadha seva cha kriyate yena rogina arogya siddhir drishtasya nanya karmana. Very significant shloka. He says, the patient who takes the proper diet and medicine, is alone seen to recover completely. Is alone seen to recover completely, not through work done by others. The two significant words in this shloka from the Viveka Chudamani are Pathyam and Aushadham. Pathyam are a set of rules that are prescribed by a doctor that need to be definitely followed. A certain diet pattern that needs to be followed. If, for example, one is a diabetic, then one needs to take care about keeping safely away from those that will harm his diabetic condition, worsen his diabetic condition. So that aspect, this applies to all other health issues across the board. So this helps in keeping things under control through following certain regulations, regulated diet, regulated food habits, regulated exercise patterns, etc., etc. This is pathyam. Aushadham is the medicine that is prescribed by the doctor. In certain cases, the treatment could be uh, Ayurvedic, it could be in the form of taking some kashayams or such prescriptions. In certain other cases, in allopathic treatment, it could mean taking regular insulin injections. So, pathyam and aushadham need to go hand in hand for a certain cure to be achieved. Here, in the 26 values that are enumerated by Lord Krishna, the first three shlokas, the 25 of them serve as pathyam. There is one value, this value, jnana yoga vyavasthitihi, that serves as the aushadham. Pathyam and aushadham need to go hand in hand for the seeker to achieve a cure of samsara roga. So, jnana yoga vyavasthitihi means steadiness in contemplation. Jnana, knowledge, here is self knowledge as received from the Shastra and the teacher. So, the meaning of the word Atma and of the word Brahman has to be properly understood. Every word has a relevant reality. So, this is the Aushadham. Jnana Yoga is the Aushadham, is the medicine. To cure samsara roga is the direct medicine. But this medicine, for it to be effective, a certain set of disciplines must be followed. Only then will the medicine be received and assimilated by the system. Likewise, without the pathyams, without the disciplines in place, the aushadham will not make a sufficient impact on the samsara roga. So, jnana yoga vyavasthitihi is the most important of all the Daivi Sampats, says Shankaracharya. And then we saw that Shankaracharya said that Daivi Sampat, cultivating Daivi Sampat, contributes to a satviki antakaranam. And he gave out a definition, a very important statement, a pithy statement, a brief statement. Yatra yesham adhikritanam adhikritanam ya prakriti sambhavati satviki sa uchyate. When the pursuit is only of things that are to be done and nothing else, it is said to be satviki. So this satviki antakaranam and the disciplines that lead to developing a satviki antakaranam are the pathyam part. When the antakaranam is ready and weeded out of the unbecoming uh, qualities or tendencies, then the medicine will seat itself squarely in such an antakaranam. And Poojya Swamiji also talked about the Varna Ashrama scheme of our Vedic society, which framework helped a person in such a society to achieve and and reach the final destination, which is moksha, by doing what needs to be done as in the form of one's duty, in the form of service. By doing so, in as part of this framework, he or she follows certain behavioral norms dictated by his stage of life, the ashrama dharma, as a student, householder, one who is preparing for renunciation, and a renunciate. One who conforms to this is called a adhikrita purusha. He is enjoined to perform certain duties. What is to be done in a given situation is usually very obvious. That is duty. So, the more you involve yourself in doing what has to be done, when one's pursuit is only towards that, even though there may be a tendency to do something else, what is done is duty. If what has to be done is done, that is one's duty. So, we came up to this point. Now, let us take our discussion a little further and see what Poojya Swamiji has to say in this context. As a result, the person becomes a master of his own ragadveshas. When you do what you ought to do and you follow dharma in your actions, in your thought, word, and deed, when they are aligned, you become a master of your ragadveshas. And consequently, one enjoys Daivi Sampat. Whether he is defined as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or a Shudra in terms of his vocation, he is a Brahmana by quality. He could be a Jati Brahmana, Jati Kshatriya, Jati Vaishya, Jati Shudra, but whoever he may be by virtue of his birth, if he has Daivi Sampat predominating in his Antakaranam, he is a Guna Brahmana. He is a Guna Brahmana. This is reflected in his disposition and attitude. The qualities of such a person are described in these three verses, the first three shlokas of the 16th chapter. They are either natural to such a person or he is mindful of his activities in terms of these values. So he understands these values and then he checks within himself how close or how far he is away from what these values stand for. It's a nice yardstick by which one can gauge one's progress. To develop a disposition in which sattva is predominant, a duty based structure is helpful. By doing your duties, whatever they are, by doing your duties, whatever they are, you become a Brahmana. Become a Brahmana. In a society in which everybody is trying to become a Brahmana by doing what is to be done, there is no competition. Until recently, the concept of duty was very much a part of Indian culture. Today, of course, the society is changing and the Varna Ashrama system is breaking down. A beautiful framework, though. But the spirit is still valid. And given any given situation presents itself in a form which necessitates an appropriate action. That action becomes the individual's duty. In every society, the duties and responsibilities are very clearly spelled out. Without that, collective function is not possible, whether at home or in society at large. What one, sh- what one should do must be clear. What one should do must be clear. Even if there are only two people involved, the one who does just what is prescribed, not only in terms of actions, but also in terms of attitudes that reflect proper values, is able to do so because he has a disposition that is predominantly sattva. Let me repeat that. The one who does just what is prescribed, not only in terms of actions, but also in terms of attitudes that reflect proper values, is able to do so because he has a disposition that is predominantly sattva. One of the actions that characterize a person of such a disposition is the next value that's coming up, dana, giving, charity, which we will explore in the upcoming capsules and take our study forward. Hari Om.